20 black celebrities who died of AIDS. What if I told you that some of the most beloved black icons, musicians, actors, athletes, even cultural pioneers, didn't lose their lives to fame, fortune, or scandal, but to silence? A silent killer that stole their light long before their time. HIV and AIDS didn't just take lives, it tore holes in the very fabric of black culture. Voices that defined generations gone. Legends who inspired millions silenced. In this video, Hidden Black Legends uncovers the heartbreaking truth behind 20 black stars who were taken far too soon by the AIDS epidemic. These aren't just tragic stories, they're reminders. Wake-up calls. Proof that behind the glitz and glory, there were battles the world refused to see. So watch closely. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you believe their legacies deserve to live on, hit that like button, subscribe, and keep their memory alive. Number 1. Willie Smith, the fashion visionary gone too soon. Willie Smith wasn't just a designer. He was a revolution wrapped in fabric. Born on February 29, 1948, in Philadelphia, Smith showed early signs of brilliance that would soon redefine American fashion. After studying at the Philadelphia College of Art and later at Parsons School of Design, he stepped into an industry that wasn't built to welcome someone like him. Young, black, and unapologetically bold. By the 1970s, Smith's career exploded. In the 1980s, he launched Willie Wear, a groundbreaking clothing line that married high fashion with streetwear decades before that fusion became mainstream. His designs pulsed with the rhythm of city life, vibrant, inclusive, and effortlessly cool. Willie believed fashion should belong to everyone, not just the elite. His clothes walked the runways and the sidewalks alike, worn by models, artists, and everyday dreamers. Smith wasn't content to stop at fashion. He collaborated with architects, filmmakers, and visual artists, turning his brand into a multidisciplinary movement that celebrated creativity without borders. By 1986, Willie Wear had soared past $25 million in annual sales, a staggering feat for a young black designer in an industry still dominated by white power structures. But in 1987, tragedy struck. While traveling in India, Willie fell gravely ill. He returned to the U.S. and was hospitalized, but it was too late. On April 17, 1987, the fashion world lost one of its brightest stars at just 39 years old. The cause, AIDS-related complications, was quietly whispered about, reflecting the deep stigma of the era. Many in the industry chose silence over truth. Willie Smith's death was more than a loss. It was a wake-up call. His passing exposed the silent toll AIDS was taking on brilliant, often closeted creatives. Yet even in death, Smith's vision lives on. Today, every designer who blends culture, comfort, and community into their work carries a spark of his spirit. Number 2. Arthur Ashe was more than a tennis champion. He was a symbol of dignity, intellect, and unshakable grace under pressure. Born on July 10, 1943, in Richmond, Virginia, Ashe shattered racial barriers to become the first black man to win the U.S. Open in 1968, the Australian Open in 1970, and Wimbledon in 1975. His calm composure, strategic brilliance, and quiet strength made him a global icon both on and off the court. But Ashe's greatest victory came not with a racket, but with his voice and courage. In 1983, after undergoing heart surgery, he received a blood transfusion tainted with HIV, an illness shrouded in fear and misunderstanding at the time. For nearly a decade, he kept his diagnosis private, dedicating himself to writing, teaching, and advocating for education, racial equality, and the betterment of underprivileged youth. In 1992, when news of his condition threatened to leak, Ashe made a bold choice. He went public. Instead of retreating, he faced the world with the same composure that had defined his career. He founded the Arthur Ashe Foundation for the defeat of AIDS and spoke before Congress, urging compassion, funding, and education in the fight against the disease. Arthur Ashe passed away on February 6, 1993, at just 49 years old from AIDS-related pneumonia. His death left an ache in both the sports and humanitarian worlds. but his legacy endured. He had transformed personal tragedy into a platform for truth, using his story to challenge stigma and redefine courage. More than 30 years later, Arthur Ashe stands as a timeless reminder that true greatness isn't measured in trophies, but in the strength to face adversity with grace, integrity, and humanity. Number 3. Fela Anikulapo Kuti, born on October 15, 1938, in Abeokuta, Nigeria, was far more than a musician. He was a revolution in motion. A fearless rebel armed with rhythm and truth, Fela turned his art into a weapon against oppression. As the founding father of Afrobeat, a bold fusion of jazz, funk, highlife, and traditional West African percussion, he didn't just entertain, he enlightened. His songs, laced with fiery political messages, took aim at corruption, police brutality, and the lingering shadows of colonial rule. Every note was an act of defiance, every performance a protest. For his boldness, Fela paid the price. The Nigerian military regime arrested him over 200 times, and his legendary Calcutta Republic, a mix of home, recording studio, and safe haven for artists and free thinkers, was brutally raided and burned to the ground. Still, he never backed down. Albums like Zombie, Sorrow, Tears, and Blood, and Coffin for Head of State became rallying cries for resistance, inspiring generations of activists across Africa and the world. But even a spirit as fierce as Fela's could not escape the toll of time. In the late 1980s, his health declined, and on August 2, 1997, he passed away in Lagos. His brother, Dr. Olakoy Ransom Kuti, then Nigeria's health minister, announced that AIDS-related complications were the cause, breaking one of the country's deepest taboos. Fela's death was more than the loss of a legend. It was a wake-up call for an entire continent still silenced by stigma and denial. Yet, his legacy refused to fade. Through his sons Femi and Son Kuti, who continue his Afrobeat mission and the annual Felabration Festival that keeps his spirit alive, Fela remains an eternal symbol of resistance, rhythm, and revolution. His voice may be gone, but his message still shakes the world. Number 4. Alvin Ailey. Born on January 5, 1931, in Rogers, Texas, Alvin Ailey rose from humble beginnings in the segregated South to become one of the most groundbreaking choreographers of the 20th century. Growing up in an era of racial division, he found refuge in dance, a language through which he could express pain, joy, and freedom. Under the mentorship of legends like Lester Horton and Martha Graham, Ailey developed a unique style that fused modern dance with the soul of Black culture. In 1958, he founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, ADT, a company that would forever change the landscape of American dance. His masterpiece, Revelations, an emotional journey through African-American spirituals, gospel, and blues, remains one of the most performed ballets in history. Through his work, Ailey gave voice to the Black experience on stage, celebrating resilience, faith, and identity in a world that too often silenced those stories. Behind the spotlight, Ailey was a deeply private man. He lived as a closeted gay man during a time when being both Black and gay invited cruel discrimination. As his health began to decline in the late 1980s, he faced his final battle quietly. On December 1st, 1989, at just 58 years old, Alvin Ailey passed away from AIDS-related complications. Out of respect for his privacy, the cause was initially disguised on his death certificate. Yet, Ailey's spirit never faded. His company has continued to thrive, inspiring generations of dancers and audiences around the world. In 2014, President Barack Obama posthumously awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, recognizing his immense cultural impact. Today, Alvin Ailey stands as a symbol of artistic brilliance, courage, and liberation. A man who turned movement into poetry and used dance to tell the deepest truths of the human soul. Number 5. Howard Rollins. The brilliant star Hollywood lost too soon. Born on October 17, 1950, in Baltimore, Maryland, Howard Rollins was a powerhouse of talent whose light burned far too briefly. A graduate of Towson University, Rollins began his artistic journey on the stage, where his intensity and charisma quickly drew attention. But it was his breakout role in Ragtime, 1981, that made him a national sensation. His performance as Coalhouse Walker Jr., a proud black pianist fighting for justice in early 20th century America, earned him an Academy Award nomination and established him as one of Hollywood's most promising black actors of his generation. From there, Rollins continued to impress with his powerful performances in A Soldier's Story, 1984, and the hit CBS series In the Heat of the Night, where he portrayed Virgil Tibbs, a principled detective navigating racial tensions in the Deep South. The role won him multiple NAACP Image Award nominations and a devoted audience who saw in him not just an actor, but a trailblazer breaking through the barriers of a predominantly white television landscape. Yet, behind his commanding presence on screen, Rollins was fighting a private war. By the late 1980s, he was battling substance abuse, facing arrests, and entering rehab more than once. In 1987, he was diagnosed as HIV positive, a secret he carried quietly while continuing to work whenever his health allowed. On December 8, 1996, at only 46 years old, Howard Rollins passed away from AIDS-related lymphoma. His death was a silent heartbreak for Hollywood and for the black community that had watched him rise with such promise. Despite his struggles, Howard Rollins remains an enduring symbol of artistic brilliance, a reminder of how greatness can shine even in the face of pain. His legacy continues to inspire generations of actors who dare to dream beyond the limits of their time. Number 6. Max Robinson, the trailblazer who redefined the news. Born on May 1, 1939, in Richmond, Virginia, Max Robinson didn't just read the news, he changed it forever. As the first African-American to co-anchor a network news broadcast, Robinson shattered racial barriers that had long kept black journalists out of the national spotlight. His journey began in local television, but his sharp intellect, commanding presence, and deep sense of purpose propelled him to ABC's World News Tonight in 1978, where he shared the desk with Frank Reynolds and Peter Jennings. Robinson's impact went far beyond the anchor chair. He used his platform to tell stories mainstream media often ignored, stories about racial injustice, poverty, and the struggles of inner-city America. He fought fiercely for representation, demanding that newsroom leadership reflect the diversity of the nation it served. But that same passion often clashed with the industry's rigid hierarchy. Behind the scenes, he battled institutional racism and editorial control, sometimes at great personal cost. Privately, Robinson faced his own storms. Depression and alcoholism shadowed his success, and in 1984, he was diagnosed with HIV, a truth he kept hidden in a time of fear and stigma. Still, he continued to speak publicly, encouraging young people to protect their health and pursue truth without fear. On December 20th, 1988, Max Robinson passed away from AIDS-related complications at just 49 years old. His death made national headlines, one of the earliest high-profile AIDS losses among black public figures, forcing America to confront both its biases and its silence. Today, his name lives on through journalism scholarships and diversity initiatives that honor his legacy. Max Robinson wasn't just a newscaster. He was a voice for the voiceless, a man who risked everything to tell the truth, and a pioneer who proved that excellence has no color. Number 7. Gil Scott-Heron, born April 1, 1949, in Chicago, Illinois, was more than just a musician. He was a revolutionary poet and truth-teller whose words cut through America's conscience. Often called the godfather of rap, Scott-Heron blended jazz, blues, and spoken word into a style that predated hip-hop itself. His sharp, unflinching lyrics in classics like "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised" ripped open conversations about racism, poverty, addiction, and media manipulation long before they became mainstream topics. Raised in Tennessee and later the Bronx, Scott-Heron showed early brilliance. By 19, he had already published a novel and gone on to attend Lincoln University, where he met lifelong collaborator Brian Jackson. Together, they created powerful, politically charged albums such as Pieces of a Man and Winter in America, giving voice to the voiceless and capturing the soul of a generation struggling to be heard. But behind his genius was pain. The 1980s and 1990s saw Scott Heron fighting a losing battle against crack cocaine addiction. His haunting voice, once full of fire, began to tremble under the weight of legal troubles, health issues, and repeated stints in prison. In 2010, he made a chilling comeback with I'm New Here, an album that felt like both a confession and a farewell. Just a year later, on May 27, 2011, Gil Scott-Heron died in New York City at age 62. Officially, the cause was pneumonia, but years of substance abuse and HIV/AIDS had taken their toll. Even in death, his influence refuses to fade. Artists like Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, and Common continue to echo his revolutionary spirit in their music. Gil Scott-Heron didn't just leave behind a discography. He left a legacy, a blueprint for how art can challenge power, speak truth, and heal the wounds of a community. Number 8. Gene Anthony Ray, born May 24, 1962, in Harlem, New York, was pure electricity on stage and screen. A natural-born performer with fire in his soul and rhythm in his veins, Ray captured the essence of raw, street-born talent. The world came to know him as Leroy Johnson, the fiercely talented and unapologetically rebellious dancer in the 1980 film Fame and its hit TV adaptation. But for Ray, it wasn't acting, it was life itself. A self-taught dancer who was famously expelled from the High School of Performing Arts, the very school depicted in Fame. Gene turned his defiance into art. His movements weren't polished. They were powerful, real, and full of heart. At the height of his fame in the 1980s, Ray became a cultural icon, a symbol of hope and ambition for young black artists everywhere who dared to dream beyond their neighborhoods. Yet behind the spotlight, Ray's journey grew darker. The same energy that made him magnetic on stage couldn't protect him from the harsh realities of fame. He battled substance abuse, typecasting, and the pain of a system that often failed to nurture artists who didn't fit the mold. Despite his brilliance, Hollywood offered him few roles worthy of his depth and fire. By the late 1990s, Gene's health began to fail. He was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and after suffering a debilitating stroke, his once unstoppable body could no longer keep up with his spirit. On November 14, 2003, Gene Anthony Ray passed away in Manhattan at just 41 years old. His death was a heartbreaking loss to the entertainment world, a reminder of how fragile genius can be when neglected by the very industry it fuels. Gene Anthony Ray remains a cult legend, celebrated not only for his unforgettable performances, but for the raw authenticity he brought to every step, every gesture, every moment. His legacy burns bright, a flame that never truly fades. Number 9. Jermaine Stewart, the voice of innocence in an era of excess. Jermaine Stewart, born on September 7, 1957, in Columbus, Ohio, was a burst of color and charisma in the vibrant world of 1980s pop music. Best remembered for his iconic hit, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, Stewart became a refreshing voice of restraint and emotional depth during a time when pop culture was consumed by indulgence, sensuality, and the looming shadow of the HIV/AIDS crisis. His message, celebrating love, respect, and self-control, resonated across dance floors around the world, proving that pop could carry both rhythm and reason. Before fame found him, Jermaine honed his craft on Soul Train, where his infectious energy and captivating moves quickly made him a standout. His talent led to background singing gigs for groups like Shalimar and Culture Club, paving the way for his solo breakout. That moment came in 1986 with his album Frantic Romantic, which featured his signature anthem. The song soared into the Billboard Top 10 and made him an international star. With his expressive voice, bold style, and unapologetic individuality, Stewart became a beacon for a new generation of black male pop artists unafraid to challenge stereotypes and redefined masculinity. Yet, behind the sparkle and stage lights, Stewart's journey grew difficult. As the years passed, commercial success waned, and by the early 1990s, he quietly stepped back from the spotlight. It was during this period that he was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, a battle he faced privately, confiding in only a few close friends. Despite his illness, those who knew him say he remained spirited, warm, and full of creativity until the end. On March 17, 1997, Jermaine Stewart passed away at just 39 years old, leaving behind a bittersweet legacy. His death was a heartbreaking reminder of the many talented souls lost too soon during the epidemic. Still, his music lives on, vibrant, joyful, and meaningful. To this day, Jermaine is celebrated not just as a pop sensation, but as a quiet trailblazer who used his art to spread a message of respect, self-worth, and love in one of music's most unforgettable eras. Number 10. Franklin Seals. Born on July 15, 1952, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Franklin Seals was a classically trained actor whose quiet brilliance and refined artistry left a lasting mark on stage and screen. American audiences remember him best as Dexter Stuffins on the hit 1980s sitcom Silver Spoons, where his effortless elegance and subtle humor made him a standout presence. Before television fame, Seals honed his craft at the prestigious Juilliard School, studying alongside future legends like Kevin Kline and Patti LuPone. His early film career included a hauntingly powerful turn as Victor Romero in the 1978 crime drama The Onion Field, earning critical acclaim for the emotional depth and realism he brought to the role. On stage, Seals commanded attention in productions ranging from Shakespearean classics to modern American dramas, often exploring themes of identity, dignity, and human struggle. But behind his polished performances lay a quieter battle. As a black and openly gay actor in an era when Hollywood offered little acceptance, Seals faced both professional barriers and personal isolation. By the early 1990s, Seals' health began to decline after contracting HIV. The illness took its toll, and on May 14, 1990, he passed away in Brooklyn, New York, at just 37 years old from AIDS-related complications. His death received little attention from the mainstream press, a painful reminder of the stigma that surrounded both AIDS and Black LGBTQ+ performers at the time. Though his life was brief, Franklin Seals' legacy endures as one of quiet excellence and unshakable integrity. He remains a symbol of the countless gifted artists whose voices were silenced too soon. Proof that true brilliance doesn't fade, even when the world fails to notice. Number 11. Kenny Green was more than just another R&B voice. He was the heart and soul behind some of the most emotional tracks of the 1990s. Born on January 17, 1969, in New York City, Green emerged as the smooth, passionate lead vocalist of the trio Intro, whose lush harmonies and seductive sound defined the era's Quiet Storm vibe. Their self-titled 1993 debut album delivered unforgettable hits like Come Inside and Love Tang, instantly earning them critical praise and a loyal following among true R&B lovers. But Green's genius didn't stop at the microphone. Behind the scenes, he was a gifted songwriter who penned some of the most heartfelt lyrics in R&B history. For Mary J. Blige, he co-wrote the timeless classics Reminisce and Love No Limit from her groundbreaking What's the 411 album, songs that blended vulnerability, confidence, and emotional truth in a way only Green could capture. His writing carried both pain and poetry, giving voice to the unspoken emotions of love, longing, and loss. By the late 1990s, fans noticed that Green had quietly stepped away from the spotlight. Rumors swirled about his health, but in a brave and deeply personal 2001 interview with Sister to Sister magazine, Kenny broke his silence. He revealed that he was bisexual and living with AIDS, a revelation that took immense courage in an industry where such honesty was still taboo, especially for Black male artists. He spoke candidly about his declining health, including the loss of his vision and mobility, but did so with remarkable grace and strength. Kenny Green passed away in October 2001 at just 32 years old, leaving behind a legacy that was as tender as it was powerful. His death stunned the music world, as many never knew the depth of his struggle. Yet his voice, both in song and in truth, continues to echo through R&B history. Green's legacy isn't just in the melodies he created, but in the bravery he showed by living openly and authentically when the world wasn't ready for it. Would you like me to make this version sound even more cinematic and emotional, as if it were narrated in a YouTube documentary voiceover? Number 12. Kevin Peter Hall, born on May 9, 1955 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was a true giant of Hollywood. Not just because he stood an astounding 7 feet 2 inches tall, but because of the heart, grace, and humanity he brought to every role. While most actors dream of being recognized by their faces, Kevin was famous for disappearing beneath heavy makeup and layers of latex, transforming into unforgettable movie monsters like the towering alien in Predator and the gentle giant in Harry and the Hendersons. Before conquering Hollywood, Hall had been a standout college basketball player, his athleticism giving him the physical control that would later define his screen presence. He studied acting at George Washington University, determined to use his body not as a gimmick, but as an instrument for storytelling. Throughout the 1980s, Hall became a legend among filmmakers, known for his professionalism, kindness, and uncanny ability to make even the most terrifying creatures feel achingly human. Behind the fangs, fur, and prosthetics, his eyes told stories of empathy, loneliness, and quiet strength. In 1990, Kevin married actress Elena Reed Hall, best known for her role on 227. Their love story was brief but beautiful, two actors united by passion and artistry. But tragedy soon struck. After a car accident that same year, Kevin required a blood transfusion. Unbeknownst to him, the blood was contaminated with HIV, a devastating consequence of time before strict screening processes. The infection developed into AIDS, and on April 10, 1991, Hollywood lost one of its gentlest giants at just 35 years old. Kevin Peter Hall's legacy endures. In every frame of Predator, in every heartfelt smile behind the mask, in the way he gave life to characters that could have been soulless costumes. He remains a symbol of how real humanity can shine even through rubber and makeup. A reminder that behind every monster, there may be a man with a heart too big for the screen. Number 13. Larry Riley wasn't just an actor. He was a force of nature. Born on June 20th, 1952, in Memphis, Tennessee, he discovered early on that storytelling was his calling. After earning his drama degree from Memphis State University, he refined his craft at the world-renowned Juilliard School, where his emotional depth and commanding stage presence began to turn heads. Riley's breakthrough came with his unforgettable performance as C.J. Memphis in the 1984 film A Soldier's Story. He delivered a haunting mix of strength and vulnerability that proved he wasn't just acting. He was living the role. That performance opened doors, and by 1988, Riley became a familiar face in American households as Frank Williams on the hit CBS primetime soap Knots Landing. His portrayal of the honorable federal agent and devoted husband was groundbreaking, one of the first major recurring black roles in the genre. He brought warmth, humanity, and quiet power to a character that shattered stereotypes and inspired millions. But behind the bright lights and acclaim, Riley was fighting a private and devastating battle. He had contracted HIV, which later developed into AIDS, a diagnosis he kept hidden from most of Hollywood. As the illness progressed, his once robust frame grew frail, and fans began to notice the change on screen. Eventually, the producers wrote his character out, leaving viewers heartbroken as they watched his final episodes, unaware of the real pain behind his performance. On June 6, 1992, just 2 weeks shy of his 40th birthday, Larry Riley passed away from AIDS-related complications. His wife later revealed the truth publicly, not to fuel gossip, but to raise awareness and honor his courage. In the years since, Riley's name has become a symbol of strength, dignity, and quiet heroism. Larry Riley's legacy goes far beyond his roles. He broke barriers, challenged Hollywood's limits, and paved the way for generations of black actors to follow. His artistry, integrity, and unshakable spirit continue to echo through every performance that demands truth and humanity. Number 14. Raymond St. Jacques wasn't just another actor. He was a force of change. Born on March 1, 1930, in Hartford, Connecticut, he broke barriers at a time when Hollywood offered few doors for black talent to walk through. A graduate of the Actors Studio, St. Jacques honed his craft with precision and passion, quickly rising from stage performances to major film and television roles. With his deep, resonant voice and powerful screen presence, he exuded authority, intelligence, and dignity, qualities rarely granted to black actors in mid-20th century America. In 1965, he made history as the first black actor to appear as a regular on a Western TV series, playing Simon Blake on Rawhide. From there, he built an impressive career with memorable roles in Cotton Comes to Harlem, They Live, and The Comedians. But St. Jacques wasn't content with just acting. He stepped behind the camera as a director and producer, determined to create authentic black stories, told by black voices. One of his standout television performances came in the late 1980s, when he portrayed Judge Clayton C. Thomas on Superior Court. His performance radiated wisdom, fairness, and quiet strength, the same traits that defined him off-screen. Beyond Hollywood, St. Jacques was a passionate advocate for civil rights and equal representation, using his fame to push for social change and opportunity for future generations of black performers. Yet behind his strength, he faced a private struggle. In the early 1990s, he was diagnosed with AIDS-related lymphoma, a battle he fought with grace and resilience until his passing on August 27, 1990, in Los Angeles at age 60. Raymond St. Jacques left behind more than a filmography. He left a legacy. A pioneer who shattered stereotypes, elevated the image of black men in entertainment, and mentored countless young actors, ensuring that the doors he broke open would never close again. Number 15. Sylvester, known to the world by just his first name, was a dazzling, unapologetic force of nature who fused gospel, soul, and disco into something revolutionary. Born on September 6, 1947, in Los Angeles, Sylvester grew up singing in the church, but his bold self-expression and gender non-conforming identity clashed with its rigid traditions. Refusing to dim his light, he moved to San Francisco in the 1970s and joined the avant-garde drag troupe The Cockettes, where his star began to rise. His true breakthrough came in 1978 with the album Step 2, featuring the timeless disco anthems You Make Me Feel, Mighty Real, and Dance Disco Heat. These tracks didn't just top the dance charts. They electrified dance floors worldwide and made Sylvester an icon of freedom and flamboyance. With his soaring falsetto, glittering costumes, and radiant stage presence, he shattered the mold of traditional masculinity and opened the door for LGBTQ+ visibility in mainstream music. But Sylvester was more than a performer. He was a pioneer and an activist. As the AIDS crisis devastated the queer community, he used his fame to speak out, advocate for compassion, and support those in need. When he was diagnosed with HIV himself in the mid-1980s, he faced it with grace and courage. Before his death on December 16, 1988, at just 41 years old, Sylvester ensured that the royalties from his music would forever support the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, a final act of love and generosity. Today, Sylvester's legacy still burns bright. His voice continues to echo through dance halls, pride parades, and generations of artists who live and create without apology. Sylvester wasn't just mighty real, he was mightily revolutionary. Number 16. Al Freeman Jr., born on March 21, 1934, in San Antonio, Texas, was more than an actor. He was a force of dignity, depth, and quiet revolution in American theater and film. With his poised presence and piercing intelligence, Freeman broke barriers at a time when Hollywood rarely made space for black excellence. After studying at Los Angeles City College and the Pasadena Playhouse, he entered the entertainment world in the 1950s, navigating an industry steeped in stereotypes. But Freeman refused to play caricatures. Instead, he chose roles that embodied strength, humanity, and truth. His performances in My Sweet Charlie, Finian's Rainbow, and Once Upon a Time, When We Were Colored showed a rare ability to balance power and vulnerability. Then came 1992, the year Freeman would deliver his most unforgettable performance as Elijah Muhammad in Spike Lee's Malcolm X. His portrayal was hauntingly calm, yet commanding, filled with a spiritual gravity that made audiences pause. It wasn't just acting, it was transformation. Critics hailed his performance as one of the most authentic depictions of the Nation of Islam leader ever captured on film. Freeman also made history on television. In 1979, he became the first African-American to win a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor, thanks to his groundbreaking role as Police Captain Ed Hall on One Life to Live. Off-screen, he turned his passion into purpose, mentoring young artists as chair of the drama department at Howard University. But behind the accolades, Al Freeman Jr. remained a deeply private man. When he passed away on August 9, 2012, at the age of 78, reports cited natural causes. Yet, later accounts suggested his death may have been linked to AIDS-related complications, a truth quietly shielded during his lifetime. Al Freeman Jr.'s legacy endures not only through his remarkable performances, but through his unwavering insistence on integrity and representation. He demanded that Black stories be told with honesty, complexity, and respect, and generations of actors now walk the path he helped pave. Number 18. Glenn Burke, born on November 16, 1952, in Oakland, California, wasn't just a gifted athlete. He was a man far ahead of his time. A talented outfielder with lightning speed and magnetic charisma, Burke lit up Major League Baseball in the late 1970s, first with the Los Angeles Dodgers and later with the Oakland Athletics. But his greatest legacy wasn't measured in home runs or stolen bases. It was in his courage to live authentically in a world that wasn't ready for him. Burke made history as one of the first openly gay players in Major League Baseball, a quiet revolutionary whose bravery would later inspire generations of athletes to embrace their truth. His joyful spirit even gave the world an iconic gesture: the high five, shared with teammate Dusty Baker after a triumphant moment on the field, symbolizing unity and celebration. Yet behind that infectious smile, Burke faced an unforgiving reality. After coming out to teammates and team officials, he was met not with support, but with silence and exclusion. By 1980, his career had been cut short, not because of a slump or an injury, but because baseball wasn't ready for an openly gay Black man in its ranks. In the years that followed, Burke's life was marked by struggle, homelessness, addiction, and declining health, but his spirit never wavered. He became a proud figure in the LGBTQ+ community, competing in the gay games and speaking openly about his experiences. When he was diagnosed with HIV in the early 1990s, he faced his illness with the same quiet dignity that had defined his entire life. Glenn Burke passed away on May 30th, 1995, at just 42 years old from AIDS-related complications. The sports world barely noticed then, but time has corrected that mistake. Today, Burke is celebrated as a true pioneer, a man whose courage broke barriers long before the world was ready to cheer him for it. In 2013, Major League Baseball officially recognized his contributions, and his story continues to inspire documentaries, books, and heartfelt tributes. Hashtag 19.Bobby DeBarge, born March 5th, 1956 in Detroit, Michigan, was a gifted singer, songwriter, and producer best known as the falsetto voice behind the 1970s monotone R&B group Switch. A member of the musically gifted DeBarge family, Bobby stood out for his hauntingly beautiful vocals and raw, emotional delivery. His influence on the quiet storm and soul ballad styles of the late 1970s and early 1980s is undeniable, even if his life and career were marked by turbulence and tragedy. Switch, which was signed to Gordy Records, a Motown subsidiary, produced hits like There Will Never Be, I Call Your Name, and Love over and over again. Bobby co-wrote and produced many of the group's tracks, quickly establishing himself as a musical force. He was admired not just for his vocal ability, but also for his ear for arrangement and production, which helped set Switch apart during an era crowded with male vocal groups. However, Bobby's personal struggles often overshadowed his professional success. Early in his career, he developed a heroin addiction which would haunt him for the rest of his life. After Switch's momentum began to fade, Bobby turned to producing and mentoring his younger siblings, particularly El DeBarge, helping to shape the success of the group DeBarge. But legal and drug issues began to take a toll. In the late 1980s, he was convicted of drug trafficking and served time in federal prison. While incarcerated, Bobby's health declined significantly. It was during this period that he was diagnosed with HIV, reportedly contracted through intravenous drug use. After his release in the early 1990s, his condition worsened and he withdrew from the public eye. On August 16, 1995, he passed away in Grand Rapids, Michigan at the age of 39 from AIDS-related complications. Bobby DeBarge's death was a devastating loss to the R&B world. Though his career was brief and troubled, his artistry left a lasting impression. Today, he is remembered not just for his tragic fall, but for the unmistakable voice that helped define a generation of soul music. His story serves as both a cautionary tale and a tribute to the pain behind the music that moved millions. These 20 stories are not just about loss. They're about truth, stigma, and the need for continued awareness. From chart-topping legends to unsung heroes, each life cut short by AIDS tells us how silence, shame, and lack of access to care have long harmed the Black community. At Hidden Black Legends, we honor their legacies by speaking boldly. What do you think needs to change in how we talk about HIV today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if it moved you, and don't forget to subscribe to keep these important conversations.